Ever get that, like, kind of spooky feeling, when you're shopping online, maybe for a new pair of shoes, and then bam! Suddenly those shoes are, like, everywhere you look online.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It's like, what? How did they know?
It's not magic, though, right?
Right.
It's data.
Data, yeah.
Every single click, every little thing you view, every search, it's all data. And companies, well, they're using it to market to us in ways that, honestly, we're just starting to wrap our heads around.
Yeah. It's like we're leaving this trail of data breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel, but instead of leading us to a gingerbread house, it's leading to, well, more stuff to buy.
That's one way to put it. But what's really fascinating is that it's not just about showing you ads for things you've already looked at.
Okay, so it's deeper than that.
Oh, much deeper.
Yeah.
Companies are using this data to basically create like these incredibly detailed profiles of us, as consumers. What we like, what we need, even what we might want before we even realize it ourselves.
It's like they're inside our brains or something.
Almost.
Right.
Like having a marketing crystal ball.
Yeah.
But instead of, mystical energy, it's all powered by algorithms and insights.
Okay, so that's what we're diving deep into today, right? How data is like totally changing the marketing game. And we've got some great insights to help us along the way from an article in Procure for Marketing called The Role of Data in Marketing.
Absolutely. And we're going to uncover exactly how businesses are using this data, not just to understand us individually, but to spot those larger market trends and measure the success of their campaigns.
With laser precision.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. How does data actually work as this, what do they call it? This customer whisperer that everyone's talking about? I feel like we hear that everywhere now. Customer whisperer.
Right. It's the new buzzword.
Yeah.
But it actually makes sense when you think about it. So every click, every view, every search you make online, like we said, it's a piece of information.
A little data nugget.
Exactly. And companies are collecting all these little nuggets, all these data points, and they use them to create this big picture of, well, your preferences, your behaviors.
It's like putting together a giant jigsaw puzzle.
It really is.
Ah.
But the final image, the masterpiece, is you as a consumer.
That is kind of freaky when you think about it.
It can be, but it can also be really useful both for businesses and for us as consumers.
Okay, how so? Give me an example.
Sure. So the article mentioned e-commerce sites tracking products that get tons of views, but then very few purchases.
Okay, so lots of people looking but not buying. Seems like a pretty clear signal that something's not quite right.
It is. It's a gold mine of information, actually. Because if a product's getting all those views, but no one's buying it, it could mean a few things, right?
Like what?
Well, maybe the price is too high, or the description isn't doing a good job of selling it, or maybe even the photos aren't, showing it off in the best light.
Yeah, it's gotta look good.
Exactly. So companies use this data to tweak their approach and try to figure out, okay, what's the missing piece here? And ultimately, boost those sales.
So it's not just about understanding me specifically, but also about seeing those big picture trends, right?
You got it. By analyzing data over time, businesses can spot what's gaining popularity, what's fading away. It's like having I don't want to say crystal ball again, but it's kind of like that.
A trend spotting crystal ball.
There you go. It's like having a finger on the pulse of the market, allowing companies to, stay ahead of the curve, give consumers what they want.
Even before we know we want it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, that's kind of mind-blowing.
It is pretty wild.
So all those targeted ads I get for sustainable clothing, those eco-friendly brands that seem to know I'm all about that life, it's not just a coincidence.
Nope, not a coincidence at all. Data is telling those companies that more and more people are interested in, making conscious choices. So they're shifting their marketing to align with that.
It's smart. So data's not just about selling us more stuff. It's also reflecting our values.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street, really.
Okay, that's interesting. But beyond just figuring out what people want, data also lets companies actually measure how well their marketing is doing, right? No more throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Exactly. Data provides these concrete metrics that allow businesses to really assess the effectiveness of their campaigns.
Okay, so what kind of metrics are we talking about?
Well, for example, they can track things like click-through rates, how many people actually click on an ad.
Right.
And then there's conversion rates, which is how many of those clicks actually turn into a purchase. It's all about getting away from guesswork and moving towards evidence-based decision-making.
Makes sense. So no more wondering why that social media post totally flopped. Data can tell you if it's the content, the platform, or even just bad timing that's throwing things off.
Precisely. And then, armed with that knowledge, you can refine your approach.
Mm.
Optimize your campaigns for maximum impact. Which actually brings us to a company that has really, truly mastered the art of data-driven marketing.
Yeah.
Amazon.
Amazon. They've gone from an online bookstore to, like, basically taking over the world, right? I can't even remember the last time I went to an actual store.
It's amazing, right? And I think it's safe to say that data has played a huge role in that.
Okay, so spill the tea. How has data fueled Amazon's rise to, like, global domination?
Well, Amazon is a prime example of a company that's built its entire business model around data.
Like it's in their DNA.
It really is. It's woven into every part of their operation, from the, personalized recommendations they offer to the way they manage their, incredibly efficient supply chain.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. First up, that recommended for you section that always seems to know exactly what I'm interested in, even the stuff I didn't know I needed. How do they do that? Seriously, it feels like magic sometimes.
It's not magic, but it is incredibly sophisticated data analysis. Like, they're tracking everything, what you click on, what you buy, even how long you hover over a particular product. It's all data.
So it's like they're watching my every move.
Well, in a way, yes, but it's all in the name of understanding your preferences. And they do it with remarkable accuracy.
And that leads to their next superpower, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Predicting what we'll want before we even know it ourselves.
Wait, again.
Hmm.
So by analyzing huge amounts of data from past purchases, browsing history, even stuff like upcoming holidays or changes in the weather, Amazon can anticipate what products are likely to be in high demand.
It's that crystal ball again, but powered by data.
Exactly. And that's a huge part of what makes Amazon Prime so successful.
Yeah, that 2-day shipping is like the holy grail of online shopping.
It is. And they can offer that because of their data-driven approach to their supply chain. They use data to optimize everything, from predicting delivery times to managing their warehouse inventory. And it allows them to keep costs low and offer that super fast shipping that everyone loves.
It's like they've cracked the code.
They really have. But, and this is a big but, all this data collection raises some big questions about privacy, right?
Mm.
Are we giving up too much in the name of convenience? Are we becoming too reliant on these companies?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. And the article we're diving into today really emphasizes the importance of, responsible data usage. Companies need to be upfront about what they're collecting.
Transparency is key.
Absolutely. They need to get our consent, and they need to make sure that data is protected from, breaches and hacks and all that scary stuff.
Because nobody wants to feel like they're constantly being watched.
Nobody. It's all about finding the right balance. Because data does have the potential to improve our lives. I mean, it can create these really personalized experiences that can be pretty cool. But it needs to be handled ethically, responsibly.
Like with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Exactly. And that's something we need to keep in mind as we move forward in this increasingly data-driven world.
So we've talked about this like big picture view of data-driven marketing. But I'm kind of curious about how it plays out in the, day-to-day. What are some specific ways businesses are using data to, reach us, in real life?
Well, one tactic that's become super common is retargeting. It's the reason why those shoes you were browsing online suddenly seem to be following you everywhere you go online.
I was just thinking about that. It's like, seriously, those shoes are honking me. So that's really all thanks to data.
Yep, pretty much. So when you visit a website, these things called cookies, they track your browsing. And then companies can use that data to show you ads for, the stuff you've already looked at.
So it's not just me being paranoid. It's a, deliberate strategy.
It's totally deliberate. It's all about keeping those products you've shown interest in, top of mind, encouraging you to go back and actually make that purchase.
I see. So it's all psychology and data working together.
Exactly. It's a powerful combination.
Okay, so what other tools are in the data-driven marketer's toolbox, besides these sneaky cookies, I mean?
Well, this whole idea of precise targeting, it leads us to another really powerful tactic called segmentation.
Segmentation?
Yeah, so basically it involves dividing a large audience into smaller, more specific groups based on, shared characteristics.
All right, so instead of blasting everyone with the same generic message, they can tailor their marketing to speak directly to people who are actually interested in what they're selling.
Exactly. It's all about making it more personalized,
Yeah.
more relevant. And that leads to, higher engagement, better conversion rates.
Conversion rate, sorry to interrupt, but what does that mean?
Oh, no worries. Conversion rate just means the percentage of people who take a desired action, like making a purchase, for example. So basically, segmentation is all about getting the right message to the right people at the right time.
It makes you wonder how effective those, like, old school mass marketing campaigns even are anymore. The ones that just blast everyone with the same message.
Right. It's like, why waste your time and money reaching people who aren't interested when you can use data to be so much more precise?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about online shopping and those sneaky retargeting ads. What about email marketing? How does data play into that?
Oh, email marketing is a whole other world. And yeah, data plays a huge role there too. With data, companies can personalize the content of their emails,
Sure.
based on your past purchases or your browsing history.
So those emails I get that are like eerily spot on with my interests, that's data doing its thing.
It sure is.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the content. They can also use data to figure out the best time to send those emails, to maximize the chances that you'll actually open them.
I gotta admit, I'm kind of impressed by how sophisticated this all is.
It is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And they can even automate entire email sequences based on your behavior. So for example, if you abandon your shopping cart, they might send you a reminder email with a special discount to encourage you to come back and complete your purchase.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely fallen for that one a few times. It's like
Yeah.
they know my weaknesses.
They're definitely getting good at it. And the best part for businesses is that they can actually track how effective their email campaigns are. Like they can see how many people open their emails, how many people click on the links, and even how many people make a purchase directly from those emails.
So it's all about like that feedback loop.
Exactly. That constant feedback loop of data lets them constantly tweak and improve their strategies to, get the best results.
It's like they're always learning and evolving.
They are. And speaking of evolving, we can't talk about data-driven marketing without talking about social media, right?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting and maybe a little creepy.
It can be, yeah. Because social media is basically a gold mine of data for marketers. Think about it. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, they collect so much information about us.
I mean, I know they're collecting data, but just how much are we talking about here?
Oh, tons. Everything from our basic demographics like our age and location to our interests, what we do online, even our social connections.
Wow, that's a lot. So those targeted ads I see on Facebook that seem to like know everything about me, from my favorite brands to my like weirdest guilty pleasures, that's data in action.
Yep. Data is working its magic behind the scenes. And these platforms are getting really good at using that data to create highly targeted ads that are, more likely to resonate with us.
It's almost like they can read our minds.
Oh, almost. But it's not just about advertising. Data can also help companies figure out what kind of content works best on social media.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, they analyze data on things like, engagement.
Engagement.
Yeah,
Okay.
like how many people are liking, commenting, sharing their posts. And then they look at reach, which is basically how many people are seeing those posts. And then they can even track sentiment, which is like whether people are reacting positively or negatively to their content.
So they're not just throwing stuff out there and hoping for the best. They're actually using data to be more strategic about what they're posting.
Exactly. It's all about creating content that people actually want to see and engage with.
Okay, but with all this data being collected and analyzed, how do companies even make sense of it all? It seems like it would be totally overwhelming.
It definitely can be. It's like drinking from a fire hose of information sometimes. But that's where data analytics comes in. There are all these tools and platforms designed to help businesses collect, process, and analyze data from, like all these different sources.
Okay, so what kind of tools are we talking about here? I know we mentioned Google Analytics earlier. Is that one of the big ones?
Oh, yeah. Google Analytics is like the go-to tool for a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
It's a free tool that gives you a ton of information about your website traffic, like how
Yeah.
many people are visiting your site, where they're coming from, what pages they're looking at, how long they're staying. It's a gold mine of information.
Wow, that's a lot of data. And I bet it's really helpful for like figuring out what's working and what's not.
It is. It can really help you understand your audience better, but Google Analytics is just one example.
Yeah.
There are tons of other tools out there for everything from, social media analytics to email marketing and even like SEO.
SEO.
Yeah, search engine optimization. It's all about making sure your website shows up in the search results when people are looking for stuff online.
So like when I Google best pizza near me, I'm seeing the results of SEO.
Exactly. The websites that show up at the top of those results are the ones that have done a good job of optimizing their content for search engines. And there are tools out there that can help you with that too.
It sounds like data analytics is becoming a pretty essential skill for anyone working in marketing these days.
Oh yeah, it's becoming more and more important. It's not enough to just have creative ideas anymore. You need to be able to understand data, collect it, analyze it,
Yep.
interpret it, because that's what allows you to make smart decisions and actually get results.
So it's like data is the new language of marketing.
It kind of is. You need to be fluent in data to be successful in marketing today. But with all this focus on numbers and algorithms, does this mean we're losing the human element in marketing? Like, is it becoming too robotic?
That's a great question. And honestly, it's something a lot of people are worried about. But I actually think that data can enhance the human element in marketing rather than replace it.
Okay, I'm listening. How so?
Well, think about it this way. By understanding our audience better, thanks to data, we can create more personalized and relevant experiences that actually feel, authentic, genuine.
So it's not about replacing human creativity with algorithms, but about using data to fuel our creativity and make our marketing more effective.
Exactly. Data can help us understand what people want, what they need, even what resonates with them emotionally. And that allows us to craft marketing campaigns that are not just effective, but also meaningful, valuable to our audience.
So it's about building relationships,
Yeah.
providing value, not just, pushing products. That's exactly it. And data can help us do that in a more thoughtful and strategic way. It's about using data to create a better experience for everyone involved.
It sounds like a win-win.
It can be, yeah. And speaking of the future, that's where we're headed next in our deep dive. When we come back, we'll be exploring the exciting and sometimes maybe even a little unsettling future of data-driven marketing.
Okay, so we've really explored the power of data in marketing, right? Like from how it allows for that crazy personalization to all the ethical stuff companies need to think about. But now, let's get a little futuristic, shall we? What's next? What does the future hold for this whole data-driven marketing thing?
Well, the future of this field is it's constantly changing, that's for sure. But one of the biggest things on the horizon, I'd say, has got to be AI, artificial intelligence.
Whoa, AI in marketing, that sounds like something straight out of like a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? It does sound pretty futuristic, but it's actually already happening. AI is being used in all sorts of ways in marketing, like everything from content creation to those chatbots we always seem to run into online, to predictive analytics and campaign optimization.
Okay, slow down. Let's break this down a bit. How is AI actually changing the marketing game right now? Like, what can it do that humans can't?
Well, one really good example is those AI-powered chatbots, those virtual assistants that pop up on websites.
Yeah, I've definitely chatted with a few of those.
Well, they can actually handle a lot of different tasks, like answering customer questions, giving product recommendations, even processing orders, all without any human help.
So instead of waiting on hold for like an hour to talk to a real person, I can just chat with a bot that can like solve my problem instantly.
Exactly. And the coolest thing is that these bots are constantly learning and getting smarter, thanks to something called machine learning.
Machine learning.
Yeah, basically it means that the bots learn from every interaction they have, so their responses keep getting better and better, and they can handle more complex requests.
So they're like evolving in real time.
Pretty much. It's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
Okay, so chatbots are cool, but what else can AI do? What other marketing magic can it pull off?
Well, another area where AI is really making a difference is personalization. Like, imagine a world where every email you get, every ad you see, every piece of content you come across is, perfectly tailored to your interests.
That sounds amazing. But also, maybe a little creepy. Like, how much does AI actually know about me?
That's a really valid concern, and it's something we need to be talking about as AI keeps developing. But the potential for, true personalization is huge. Imagine never having to deal with information overload again. You'd only see the stuff that's actually relevant to you. It could save us so much time and energy.
Okay, I see your point. Less spam, more personalized stuff. I can get behind that. But what about predictive analytics? Didn't you mention that earlier? How is AI changing that?
Oh, yeah. AI is taking predictive analytics to a whole other level. So by analyzing huge amounts of data, AI algorithms can spot these subtle patterns and trends that humans might miss.
Okay, so what does that mean in plain English?
Well, it means that businesses can use AI to predict things like future sales, identify potential risks, or even recommend products to you before you even know you want them.
Whoa, that's kind of scary. Like, they'll know what I want before I do.
It's definitely getting to that point. To like having that crystal ball we talked about earlier, but one that's like constantly learning and getting more accurate.
Okay, AI is definitely a game changer. But are there any other big trends we should be watching for?
Definitely. Another trend that's really gaining momentum is this focus on data privacy. Like consumers are finally starting to realize how much data is being collected about them, and they're demanding more control over how it's used.
Right, we talked about those data protection laws like GDPR and CCPA. It seems like those are just the beginning.
Exactly. We can definitely expect to see more regulations in the future as, governments and individuals start to take data privacy more seriously.
So what does this mean for businesses? How do they adapt?
Well, they need to be proactive.
Mm.
They need to make sure they're complying with all the regulations,
Mm.
and they need to prioritize ethical data practices like transparency, consent, and data security are non-negotiable.
Because if they mess up, it could really damage their reputation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Consumers are much more likely to do business with companies that they trust,
Mhm.
companies that are transparent about how they're using their data and that respect their privacy.
It's all about building that trust.
Exactly.
So,
So, yeah, the marketing landscape is definitely changing fast,
yeah.
and it's going to be interesting to see how things evolve in the years to come.
So for all the marketers out there listening, what skills do they need to like thrive in this data-driven future?
Well, first and foremost, they need to be data literate. They need to be able to understand and interpret data, but they also can't lose sight of those uh, essential human skills like creativity, empathy, and the ability to connect with people on an emotional level.
So it's not just about crunching numbers, it's about using data to tell stories that resonate with people.
That's a great way to put it. It's about finding that balance between data and creativity.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. It's clear that data is a powerful force, and it's shaping not just the way businesses operate, but also the way we experience the world around us.
It's true. Data is everywhere. And it's only going to become more prevalent in the years to come.
So here's a final thought for our listeners to chew on. In this, like, increasingly data-driven world, what role do you want to play? Are you going to be a passive observer, just letting data happen to you? Or are you going to be more active, demanding more transparency, more control over how your data is used?
That's a great question. And it's one we all need to be asking ourselves.
And that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of data-driven marketing. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two, maybe even had a few aha moments along the way. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Join the conversation on our social media or head over to our website to share your comments. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.